Hello, welcome back to my channel and to a brand new video. And I feel like I need to do something else for these intros, but I don't know what, so I'll just keep doing it like this. And yeah, let's just get into the video. Alright, today I am gonna do another very much just me talking about something I like kind of video, which is my whole channel. Yes. So yeah, let's just do that, I guess. that's what the channel is about, and that's what I'm gonna do. Today I'm gonna talk about podcasts, my top 3 favorite podcasts of 2020, I suppose you can say, but just in general too. Okay, so I'm gonna be listing them from they're all my favorites, but the least to the most, I suppose. So the last one will be my absolute favorite, so you have to stay tuned for that. Okay, for the first podcast that I kind of wanted to mention, it is not necessarily just one, it is kind of two, but it's a very similar theme, so I thought I would put them together, and I think that works. Also, I listened to one and then the other one kind of took over, so yeah, they fit together, I'd say. The first one, once again, is a history podcast. So I sometimes get these kicks where I'm super into ancient Egypt history. I always am, but I sometimes I just want to watch all the documentaries, know everything I can about it. I came across a podcast called, let me just check, the History of Egypt podcast. It is made by Dominic, and yeah, it talks about ancient Egypt pretty much from its beginning, the world creation and all that. And ancient Egypt has some weird stories, so I was kind of in amazement that this is actually history and something people were believing. And I don't know, I thought it was crazy. Like I said, I watched the documentaries and stuff, but it doesn't really talk about their creation, and there's a lot of sexual activity, there's a lot of just weird stuff.
Atum is the lord of all, the master of reality. He created the universe, and how he did this is quite interesting. Atum came out of the waters and began the process of creation. Atum is the one who developed, growing. He put his penis in his grasp so that he could make an orgasm with it. Thus, the 2 siblings were born.
So yeah, it was really interesting to listen to, but then, I don't know, it just kind of got pushed aside because I found a different history podcast that I really found interesting as well. The other one is called the British History Podcast, and it's by Jamie Jeffers. That one, again, is a history one, and it's kind of from the beginning of Britannia and Britain in its early days. And I thought it was really interesting. I am 40% English, I found out on my what's it called, DNA testing. Also, having lived in England and planning on moving back, so I thought it'd be interesting to know a bit more about the history of it. You don't really learn that kind of stuff in schools here in Denmark. You just kind of focus on Denmark, so I don't know much about it. I am at a point where we've passed all the Roman history stuff. There's a lot of that, and there's the Boudica stuff, and yeah, it's very interesting. I'm also very fascinated by the Roman Empire, so there was a bit of both. And yeah, I recommend it to anyone who like history and are interested in British history, I suppose, as well with the Egypt, the Egyptian one or whatever. That one is just fascinating to anyone, I'd say. Also, just in general, I am very fascinated by history. I think if I didn't study law at university, I probably would have studied history. So yeah, just interesting topic, and I think that's enough about that because that's not really the one that I am listening to the most anymore. To next podcast. So on the second favorite or whatever list here, again it is focused on one, but it is within the sphere of the H3 podcast. Like, they have a bunch of different podcasts. They have the main one, they have the After Dark, they have Content Court, and the one I want to talk about now is Frenemies.
But let me explain, first of all, what brings us to here, which is a pairing very bizarre. I've been wanting to make a podcast with like another comedian for a while, and I don't mean that to compliment you.
Frenemies is a bit difficult to describe. It's a mess. It's hosted by Klein, who is like the creator of the H3 channel, and Trisha Paytas. And for some reason, I've been following Trisha Paytas for a long time. I can't really say why, because she's a very weird person and I can't really respect and follow her in a lot of the things she does, but I still somehow keep up with her for whatever reason. I can't explain it. I think the interesting thing about their podcast is just that they're two very different people and their personalities, they really clash, but it's so interesting too to see such different like viewpoints on the topics that they talk about. And yeah, there's been some episodes that to me were really uncomfortable to watch, and I definitely debated whether it was good to continue watching it, because it would actually give me like anxiety when they would fight and there would be these huge blowouts because of Trisha's disorder, and things escalate to these points where she storms out, and she's done that twice now. And I don't know, it's a bit of a stressful podcast, but it also has a lot of good moments that I really enjoy, and I think it's really funny. It's a really great concept, and I think they're both really funny on the show. So I'm gonna keep watching. If there is more of the big blowouts, then I might take a break from it, but for now I'm gonna try and keep watching because I do enjoy the show for the most part, and I definitely recommend anyone to watch it. I also do listen and watch like some of the other H3 podcasts, and I have done that a bit on and off since they started. But I think Frenemies just kind of is something that I wouldn't miss a week. Like, I watch it every week, whereas the other ones are more just when I feel like it, or if they're talking about something that I'm particularly interested in hearing their opinions on. But let's just move on to the final podcast on my top 3 podcasts of 2020 and continuing. So the final podcast, this one is definitely my all-time favorite. Well, yeah, my all-time favorite. I can say that. Actually, you know the Spotify, like, you get the wrapped up thing, and there was like, my favorite podcast is this podcast, and it was also that I had listened to 11 episodes in one day. I don't recall that happening, but I suppose I did. Like, the episodes are at least an hour long, so I don't know what I was doing that day. I feel like that's crazy, but yeah. And yes, that podcast is The Office Ladies by Jenna Fischer and Kinsey. And if you're familiar with them, you'll probably know what it's about, but it's a podcast talking about The Office, the American Office show.
I'm Jenna Fischer.
And I'm Kinsey.
We were on The Office together.
And we're best friends.
And now we're doing the Ultimate Office Rewatch podcast just for you.
Each week, we will break down an episode of The Office and give exclusive behind-the-scenes stories that only 2 people who were there can tell you.
We're The Office Ladies.
Basically what they do is each episode covers an episode of The Office from the first and then going to the last, I hope. Yeah, like, I fell out a little bit with it, but again, it's not the show's fault. Like, I love the podcast, I think it's amazing, but sometimes I put these weird pressures and like requirements on myself. So like, I would always say, like, I need to watch the episode before I listen to the podcast. And then for some reason I was getting stressed out about having to watch the episode, even though I love watching it, but it was just because, I don't know, I was just overwhelming myself with these requirements and rules. So I fell out a little bit with it, and it was really stupid because at the end of the day, I don't need to watch it, and I don't need to put these restrictions on myself. But anyway, I'm back to it now. I think I am at the end of season 2 because I'm behind schedule now. I need to catch up. I just think it's really interesting because I'm the type of person, when I finish a show or like a series or something, well, it's the same thing, but when I finish something or a game, I want more of it. I want more content. I want to know more about it. So I always find like fan theories and not conspiracy, but fan theories and stuff like that really interesting. I'll always watch that after finishing something because I just need more. Also just watching like interviews with the crew and kind of getting to know the people more. And yeah, I get really into like the world of shows or games or movies or whatever. So I think this is the perfect thing. Like The Office is something I began watching a few years ago, and I really come to find it as like a comfort show. Like even if I finish this show, I don't think it would be boring or like less entertaining to just start it over from the beginning straight away. It's really interesting to get like their, insider point of views. They also have like guests on. They definitely had Rainn Wilson on, who plays Dwight, and I've also seen him in like Good Mythical Morning and stuff, and I think it's really fun to see these characters, these people outside their characters. So yeah, I really enjoyed that show and getting an insight into everything, and anyone who likes The Office or watched it should definitely go check that out as well. Okay, well, that was all my podcasts that I wanted to mention. Again, today is just me talking about something I like because that's just what I felt like. And I had some other stuff planned, but to be honest, I'm not feeling amazing. So I thought this was the best thing that I could manage today. So that's what it is. I don't really know a lot of people who listen to podcasts, so I think it's interesting to hear what other people, listen to and like. And yeah, I'd love to get some recommendations if anybody has some. Okay, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope that you would consider subscribing and coming back to the channel. I'm gonna keep being consistent, and I really like what I'm doing, so, well, whatever. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and stay talking. Bye.